she's solving mysteries in the night. She's in shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind, in the darkness all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be, for justice wheels keep turning, Granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. Granny's crime busters run, no victims left to pay. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well today. Come on in, grab a beverage, grab an egg. I wish my table only looked that nice, right? In preparation for Easter coming up. So, guys, today we are actually kicking off our series on Lori Vallow Daybell. Something inside me does not want to use that Daybell last name. I don't know why. Irks me, I guess. Anyway, this is and has been a huge case, right, that we've all followed. We all know that Lori was convicted of taking the lives of her two children, JJ and Tylee Vallow, being instrumental in taking the life of Tammy Daybell, who was her new husband's wife, all with the help of her brother Alex Cox, right? Chad was also convicted, and he is now serving time on death row. They didn't do the death penalty for Lori in Idaho, so she is serving life sentences. But she is now being charged. She has 2 more trials. The next trial coming up is this coming Monday, which is, the 7th, I believe, of April, for taking the life of her husband, shown here, Charles Vallow. Along with the help of her brother, Alex Cox, who actually is the one who shot Charles, right? We're going to find out a lot of things in this trial. The next trial, which will be directly after this, also in Arizona, is the attempt on the life of Brandon Boudreaux, who was her niece's husband at the time, her niece Melody. Someone, assuming Brandon says it was Alex Cox, took a shot at Brandon. And it was reported, and it is totally believed that Lori is behind all of it, planned it in conjunction with Alex. Alex, for those of you who may not know, died of heart-related problems. I imagine the stress was pretty bad. But today we are going to look at, now many of us know that there was a documentary by Netflix that came out about Lori. Now she has interviewed again with, Arizona's Family, 3 TV, CBS 5. So we're going to go ahead and listen to that. We'll be commenting on it together. But I want you to know I am going to cover the trial. Every night I'm going to give on my live, I will give a short synopsis of what happened in court that day. Now, this past week, they did pick the jury. And by the way, Lori is defending herself. Interesting note there. But they did pick the jury of 13 men, 3 women, I guess. So let's go ahead. Without further ado, we're going to listen to the video and talk about it together. Because Lori has some very, let's say, out there ideas about her mission on Earth, right? Let's continue.
Hi, Lori.
See?
Yeah.
Can I put this paper on here or will it be kind of on the?
Yep. Totally fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd be like be on camera. My handwriting's really
No, you're
sloppy.
good. We're rolling. I've been so curious to talk to you for a long time. First and foremost, I want to ask you, why did you decide to represent yourself at this trial?
There's lots of reasons. Obviously, being pro per is not an easy job. I'm not an attorney. I don't have training to be an attorney. There's something that I figured out when I got to this jail. This experience has been 5 years running. Okay. I went through a whole trial, before in my other state, and then I was brought here to Arizona to face some more serious charges. And I came here with the intention of having a speedy trial, right? I wanted to, these charges came first, right? So they're like 5 years old. So I, first talked to the attorneys. I was like, they've had 5 years, the prosecutors, to put their case together. And I really want to go to trial. Like, we need to go. So I'm in a max pod, with the max women. And there's about 8 women in my pod facing death penalty. And, I was facing the death penalty in Idaho. I was the only one in that jail because it was a very small town and a small jail. But here, these women have been waiting for their trials for 5, 6, 7, 8 years to go to trial in a jail. Okay. And then during this experience, I've been in 4 different facilities during this experience, right? Because I've been shuffled all over the country, right? Came from Hawaii to Idaho to Boise, back and forth. So I've experienced 5 different facilities now. This is the 5th facility I've been in, and it is the worst.
What exactly about the conditions bothers you the most? Because, everyone's going to say, what did you expect? You've been convicted of multiple murders. So what were you expecting in this jail?
Well, the people that are in this jail haven't been convicted of anything, that are in the same exact situation as I am. They're innocent. They're innocent right now, and they've been here for 5, 6, 7, 8 years eating slop.
Okay. I really, guys, have to give kudos to this woman who's interviewing her. She's asking some really good questions. She's not pulling any punches. She's just saying it exactly like it is. I really like her. Here's what I think is funny. Lori is not talking about herself or her trial. She's kind of making this all about the other women who are sitting there not having a trial yet. Do I think that's wrong? Yes. I will say that, right? I do think that's wrong. But Lori, well, you're going to hear. She feels this is her mission to yeah. I'm sorry. To be there for these women, to uplift them and encourage them. And hey, that's good, right? Everybody could always use some encouragement and uplifting. Let's just continue.
Every day, the same thing, every single day, not going out in the sunshine, not having proper medical care, not having proper dental. If something goes wrong with your teeth, you know what the dentist will do from jail? They pull your tooth out. That's it.
So you're fighting for the other inmates here who are waiting for their time in court.
This is what I found out. Arizona different from other states, and I only know the 2 states because I've only dealt with 2 judicial systems, right? Has no intention of giving anybody a speedy trial, even though it's your constitutional federal right. Okay. So what I am fighting for these women, I'm fighting for these women and trying to set a precedence here that you can't just leave these women in jail for years, because the conditions at the prison, if you do get convicted, are a million times better than they are at the jail. Jails are not designed. They're not all over the country. Jails are not designed to let you stay long term. The average person in jail goes 3 months. You're in there for 8 years. You've had teeth pulled out all over. You don't have any kind of thing that you need here. So I talked to my attorneys and said, I need to go. And they said, we can't do it because I agreed with them, right? Because they said, I said, from their professional stand, they want to go to court prepared, right?
Of course.
I'm a hairstylist. I used to charge tons and tons of money in Austin, Texas to do hair. So I'm not going to charge someone $400 to do their hair and let them walk out the door and not let it look good, because that's my reputation. So I talked to my attorneys. I said, I understand where you're coming from. I understand 100%. I don't want to put you in the position where you're saying, I can't do a good job for you. I can't do this for you in this amount of time. But I've been working on my case for 5 years. So I know my case better than an attorney can learn it in 2 years. But here's the thing. When you waive your speedy trial, then they can keep you here as long as they want. There are intelligent, strong, beautiful women in here that have been here for 8 years because of family tragedies. It's the same like my case. A family tragedy, not a crime. A family tragedy. And they're waiting.
A family tragedy is not a crime. Did you hear that, guys? A family tragedy is not a crime. Why does she say this? Okay. So, for Charles Vallow, who was the first one that was red-rummed in this whole tragedy, I think she calls it later on a domino effect of family tragedies that she went through, that she experienced. Okay. Let's just go with it, guys. I know what you're thinking. um, so she was separated from Charles. They were not divorced yet, right? Okay. Charles had a $1 million, I think it was $1 million, don't quote me, but it was a really high life insurance policy that she was a beneficiary of when they were married. Okay. However, what Lori didn't know at the time was that Charles had changed his will to his sister receiving everything and receiving the life insurance and all this stuff, right? Because he knew, he had even called the police. He knew that Lori was basically off her rocker. He knew something was wrong. This was not the woman he married. Something was really wrong, and it had to do with religion, right? Now, Charles was a Mormon as well. So it's not that he didn't, believe in the Lord. It's not that at all. He went to church with Lori, everything. But he knew that her beliefs were getting out of whack. He knew that he was being called a demon with another name. I forget the name. Okay. It was time for him to pick up JJ to take him to school. And he went to Lori's house, and I don't know, evidently an argument ensued. So he started struggling with Alex. Alex went into his bedroom, got the pew-pew, and shot him. And they called the police, and they said it was, an argument and all this other stuff. The same police that Charles had called about Lori to begin with. but they didn't press any charges, nothing. That's why this trial is happening today. Because after everything that happened with Tammy and JJ and Tylee, they knew that Lori and Alex had planned this, right? Charles was afraid for his life. He had even told Lori's other brother, Adam, he was afraid for his life. So, a lot going on here, guys, behind the scenes that you may or may not have been aware of. But let's continue.
And they're facing the death penalty for a family tragedy. I know these women. I talk to them every day. I try to uplift, strengthen, and help women in this jail. And I think that's the purpose why I'm here.
Can you define family tragedy for me?
Yeah.
Obviously, you were convicted of killing your kids. Where does that
Wrongly
disconnect?
convicted.
You believe wrongly convicted.
Absolutely, 100%.
So then how do you address that? You were convicted of it. They're not here. So what happened? Okay.
Can we cut for just a second?
So obviously she has advisors that stopped her from answering that question. I would have really liked to have. That was a really good question. Like I said, the girl who is doing the questioning on this show, amazing. If she hears me, I hope she understands that I think she did an amazing job.
To your point, you're not an attorney.
Correct.
You know your case, but you're not an attorney.
Correct.
How do you expect this is going to work for you next week and in these months to come, acting as your own lawyer?
I have help. I have a wonderful team that I got to hire, which is great. I have my paralegal. That's wonderful. I have my investigator. I have my advisory council that helps me. I'm just going to do the best that I can. That's all I can do. I'm trying to help the women here. Like, something that happens in Arizona that didn't happen in Idaho, something that's different, is there they really respect your right to a speedy trial. And so I wouldn't waive my speedy trial, and they finally pushed it to trial. The judge does go over, and for any reason, they can move your speedy trial out, right? But here, the first time you go to court here, if your attorney stands up for you and says, oh, we're going to need more time because you were supposed to go in 4 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a certain amount of time and you're supposed to go in 150 days. And if your attorney says that, it automatically waives your right to a speedy trial. So the women that are here and their attorneys say, we're going to help you, we're going to put your case together, we're going to do all this stuff. They didn't know the first time that their speedy trial got waived, because they're like me. I mean, I was 46 years old when I got arrested. I've never been arrested before. I didn't know how the judicial system worked. They're in the same boat. So they didn't actually know at the time that they were waiving their speedy trial right.
I've been in the courtroom for some of this, and then I've watched it as well. When you're addressing the judge and the state, you can get a little snappy with them. And I know you're upset with what you feel as witnesses that are being precluded from the trial. What's your biggest complaint? What do you want to see happen? And is that the tone that you want to take throughout this trial?
I don't think I'm trying to set a tone. That's not my intention, is to set a tone. And I'm not a fighter. Okay. So my whole life, I've been a peacemaker. I'm a person that loves everybody. I'm a person that gets along with everybody. I don't like to fight. So this is a challenge.
How does that work, guys? If you're not a fighter, you're a peacemaker. How does that work? How do you end up being responsible for the lives of your 2 children, the wife of your new husband, your ex-husband, and an attempt on your niece's husband? I mean, how does that work? How can you be a peacemaker, right? How can you be a peacemaker? How can you say you don't like fighting? So you just end their life? Is that what happens? I mean, wow.
For me to even fight for myself, to fight for these women, to kind of stand up for the first time in my life, because I'm kind of been, you know, I'm a people pleaser by nature, and it's been really difficult
He's a people pleaser. I'm gonna leave that one there.
for me, but there's so many wrongs in the system. You know, there's certain things that your attorneys won't say for you, because here's the problem. Your attorneys, they're professionals, right? So they're colleagues with the prosecutors, they're colleagues with the judges. And I get that, because I've worked in a professional environment. So I get that. You know, you have to be, you know, they argue their points, and then they go out to lunch. Like, I get that, right? I'm not doing that. I'm fighting for my life here, really.
There's this notion from people in the public that
Okay, wait a minute now. She's not fighting for her life in this trial. I mean, she is already serving life sentences. So she's not fighting for her life in this trial. And, you know, and she knows that, guys. She knows that. I mean, and please do not get me wrong. I am glad that this trial is moving forward. I am glad they are holding her accountable for Charles Vallow's death. I am glad about that. But she's going to get another life sentence. I mean, what's another life sentence on top of the other one she's already got, other than for the family of Charles Vallow, right? Kay and everybody else, right? She's being held accountable, and that's a good thing. But for her, she's not fighting for her life. That's just a load of bull.
feel you're representing yourself because you have nothing to lose, that this is a challenge, kind of a show, a game for you. Do you agree with that?
I never hear any of this stuff, because I'm in a room 23 hours a day, and we don't have any access to any kind of news. So, or any kind of anything really. Like, so I didn't know that people were saying that, but I wouldn't agree with that, obviously.
What's your mindset going into trial? What do you believe now, and how do you feel as we're just a couple days away?
A little bit stressed.
It's a big case.
It's a big case. It's stressful. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of legal things that have to be done. We're working on stuff every day. We're working late into the night. The biggest challenge for me in this trial will be the logistics. I want to be able to go and talk to the people who have stood up and lied about me. I get to face them face to face. I think that's important. So the hardest thing is here, they wake you up at 3:00 in the morning to go to court every single day. And you sit and you sit and you sit and you wait, but you're woken up and you're transported and you're getting back to the jail at like 5 and 6 o'clock at night. I'm going to have to prep for the next day for my witnesses. I'm going to have to meet with people. I'm going to have my, paralegal's going to come over. We're going to get paperwork ready. We're going to get, our stuff ready for the next day. So the hardest thing, it'll be lack of sleep. Nobody does good with lack of sleep.
Are you worried about the legal things you don't know?
Obviously, there's lots of legal things that I don't know. I have been studying. I've been studying a lot the law. I've been studying it for 5 years. I've been talking with attorneys. I had a team of 11 people in Idaho, some really, really smart people. People were brought in all over the country from different states and everything, because I was a death penalty case. And so I learned from a lot of people, and I'm a smart person and I paid attention. I consider myself an intelligent person, like a lot of these other women here in this jail. And, we're trying to do the best that we can. I know it's not going to be perfect the way an attorney would do it. So that's when people say, like, she has nothing to lose. Like, I don't necessarily think that I'm going to do a better job than the attorneys can do. That's not my intention. My intention is to say the things that I would say for myself. I mean, I sat there during a whole trial and I discussed a lot of things with my attorneys and asked them to say very specific certain things that were important to me, just as a person, as a human being. These things are important that you say this for me, and they wouldn't say it. So, and I get the professionalism and I get what they're doing, but sometimes you just have to be able to do it for yourself.
You want to be your own voice.
She wants to be her own voice. You heard that. She's mad because in Idaho, her attorneys would not say the things that she wanted them to say about her. And we all know that she was upset because they kind of threw Chad Daybell under the bus, right? She did not want that to happen. So she was mad about that, right? This time, it doesn't have anything to do with Chad Daybell, but she wants her voice to be heard, right? Guys, she is very delusional. Do I think she's intelligent? I do. But somewhere along the way in her religion, she got lost. She got caught up and then aligned herself with people who fed into it. Chad Daybell was a worse one, right? Does she still believe it? She sure acts like she does. But here's the thing. Does she have to stick to that belief now because she cannot face reality? Think about it. If she believes her children died for the greater good, whatever that may be, how can she face reality knowing that she caused the death of her children, of Tammy, of Charles, and the attempt on Brandon Boudreaux's life? Reality is much harder to face, isn't it, than the delusion?
Yeah.
Going over your case and all of it for years, I mean, it seemed like you had the life that so many wanted in Arizona. You had it all.
I loved our life here. Yeah.
Why are we here? Like, why are we at the place we're at now? You had
Good
that life.
question.
Why throw it away?
It's tragedy. Families have tragedies. Things happen. And there was a domino effect of tragedies in my life. And that's really sad.
What do you describe that domino effect of what?
It's probably something that we should save for next time.
Do you still believe in those things of the dark and the light spirits and the zombies? Is that still part of your belief system, or have you changed your beliefs?
They bleeped what she said out there.
Do you consider you and Chad still together?
Sure. Of course.
And how is that going to work with you? He's on death row and you are in prison for life. How do you continue that relationship, that marriage?
In the best way that you can. The only way that you can.
What do you think people have wrong about you?
Pretty much everything.
Like what?
Specifically, I don't really know what people think because I don't have access to the kind of media that you guys are watching all these things. I never get to watch anything. So I hear things from different people. I get text messages from people saying, oh, so-and-so said such and such. And I'm like, okay, I don't have access to what the people know. So I kind of can't clear it up because kind of don't know what it all is.
If you could clear something up right now, what would it be?
Good
That
question.
I love everybody. that I'm here for a purpose. I think, God put me here in this jail, the worst jail in the country, they say, and I really can't argue it. But when I got here, the girls are like, did you know that you got brought to the worst jail in the country? And I was like, I can't argue that it's not. But he brought me here to help uplift and strengthen these women. And that's what I try to do every day. I taught, I'm a certified group fitness instructor, and I worked here at Fitness Works and taught aerobics. And so I teach a workout to the girls every day. We laugh together, we cry together, we pray together. We're all in our separate cells. We're in there 23 hours a day. So we just talk to each other through the cell doors, right? Like each of us get out an hour a day and we can talk to each other through the door. We have to take our shower and whatever. But this jail, some days you'll be in your cell for 3 days. They go on lockdown and you don't get out for 72 hours. You're just in your room. So I'm here to help strengthen these other women. Sometimes God needs somebody to go into the trenches. And I think he put me here for that purpose.
A follow-up question to what you said, that you love everybody. Does that include your children?
Absolutely. I love my children. I've always loved my children. There's never been a question.
Even being convicted of killing them?
Wrongly. Of course.
Do you plan to take the stand yourself in your own trial?
Haven't decided yet. Don't need to decide that. Legally, you don't have to decide. So we're going to see how it goes.
And that would be a situation if you did decide, where your investigator or somebody would ask the questions to you on the stand?
Yes.
Okay. That was my understanding too. I just want to make sure I was correct on that as well.
Well, my understanding is that the advisory council would have to do that. Yeah. But I would have to write the questions. They can't ask me anything that I don't.
And you have to pre-submit those. You can't just go up there and say what you want.
Correct. That's my understanding.
That was my
of the law.
understanding. That was my understanding as well. This is probably one of the more unprecedented situations. You were involved in choosing your own jury. As a non-attorney, what was that process like for you?
That was an interesting process. I mean, it went way better than I thought it was going to go. The process in Idaho is so different. It was interesting for me because it was so different. And I have had that experience. So I was like, I kind of know what's going to happen here, but every state is different, right? Every county is different. Everyone's going to have their own rules of how they did it. I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised that the judge was very fair in doing the jury selection in some ways. So I think it went really well. It went really fast. I didn't expect that. I thought it would take a long time. So I feel like it went as well as it could go.
Are you nervous for Monday?
See how it goes. I try not to get nervous about things and go with the flow as much as possible. It's not just Monday. It's every day. It's going to be day after day. So I got to kind of pace myself and just do the best that I can.
Do you believe you can convince this jury, to find you not guilty?
I don't think I'm there to convince anybody. I think I'm there to just tell the truth.
Wouldn't that be your goal, though, as your defense attorney, to be found not guilty?
I think that's a goal. Yeah, that's the goal of everybody. But I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm defending myself against being wrongfully accused. So
Wrongfully accused of Charles' death as well?
Absolutely.
What do you want the jury to take away from you during this trial?
I don't know that they can take anything away. I mean, I don't really have an answer for that. I haven't really thought about it from that perspective.
Are you prepared for a life behind bars?
Sure.
How? What do you do to prepare that to be the rest of your life?
My life is mostly over because I'm 51 years old.
Some say
I'm
you've
a
got a lot of
mother
years
and a
ahead.
grandmother and all those things. I've had a wonderful life. I did have a wonderful life for,
She's a mother and a grandmother. For those of you who know about Colby, her oldest son, the only one that is left, he does have children, and that's what makes her grandmother. She will never see those children, and Colby has no plans to ever talk to her again. I do not feel sorry for her. Okay? I don't. Guys, Colby is the one that I feel sorry for. He's the one that has lost so much, right? And I know he's not asking anyone to feel sorry for him, but I think he's made some good, solid choices. You know, he interviewed his mother for one last time, and I encourage you to go to Colby Ryan's channel and watch that interview and his reactions. He tried to make it just about an interview and not, be reactive, but I think, he is her son. He had some good times with his mother. He says she's not the same person anymore that he once knew. Um, I believe him 100%. But sitting here saying she's a mother and a grandmother, not anymore. Because Colby he won't let her have any kind of interaction with his children. And I agree. That would be dangerous. And he doesn't want any interaction with her himself anymore. He's done. So, you know, if she wants to call herself a mother of Tylee and JJ, well, that's just no mother who loved their children would ever do something like what she did to her children.
A long time. So it's just a different life, in my faith, we're called on missions to go do things, and I've had this kind of scenario in my mind that I was like, if, my bishop called me in and said, we have this really hard calling for you. It's going to be for the rest of your life. And you're going to go into this prison and where all these women are, and you're going to help and uplift and strengthen women and give them faith and help them carry on and do these things and help them get ready for when they get out of prison. But you're going to be there all the time and you're going to be there for the rest of your life. Will you accept this calling?
Would you say yes?
Absolutely.
So you feel this is kind of a newfound purpose with the situation you're in?
Absolutely.
What do you want to impress upon people that have followed you in your case for years? Like right now, we've got a few minutes left. I want to know, what should the public know about Lori that they don't know?
That I am a Christian person, that I love the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and that I'm here on earth to do whatever he needs me to do.
I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I will see you in the courtroom on Monday.
Interesting, right, guys? So, she's a Christian person. That's what she says. She's a Christian person. Does she love the Lord? I think she probably does. But is she deceived? Very much so, in my opinion. This trial is going to be very interesting because of the fact that Lori is representing herself. The interviewer here was absolutely correct in the fact that Lori wow, went right out of my head. But anyway, I hate when that happens, right? I know what it was. The interviewer was correct in saying that Lori was snappy at the judge and the prosecution. And was that going to be the tone for this trial? Well, we're going to find out. I think that question surprised Lori. And I think that she's going to take that and dwell on it and think about how she wants to come across, right, to the jurors. But I really don't think when she was asked, what do you want the jury to take away from this, she didn't have an answer. She was asked about, convincing them, and she said that's not her intention. She just wants to tell her truth. So Lori is using this trial to tell what she believes her truth to be. She wants to be heard. She thinks she's been misrepresented, and that people do not understand what happened. And like I said before, I honestly do not believe that Lori can face reality at this point. I don't honestly believe that she'll ever face it. Because, guys, if you have a dream or a delusion out here that says, oh, this all happened for a greater purpose, versus, oh my gosh, I was the cause. I planned my children's deaths. I planned with my new husband or my future husband to take the life of his wife, Tammy. I planned with my brother to take the life of my husband, Charles Vallow. I planned to have Brandon unalived. No, you can't. She's not going to want to face that reality, guys. I don't think she ever will till her dying day, because I don't think her mind can go there. Honestly, that's my opinion. I don't think her mind can go there. But we're going to see. It's going to be a very interesting trial. Like I said, I'm going to, beginning on Monday night. And I said I was going to take Mondays off, but yeah, well, we'll just see what happens. I think being there for the trial is going to be more important than anything else, because we're all invested, right? We're all invested, and you have to wonder: is Chad still? I mean, does he see this as his divine purpose to help other people in prison? He's on death row. I don't even know that he can talk to anybody. Death row inmates is pretty secluded, aren't they? I don't even know that they could talk to anybody through the bars. What is his divine purpose? Right? I don't even think he can talk to Lori, as far as I'm aware. Right? Very strange circumstances here, but we will be back on Monday evening, 5 p.m. Central, to go over what happened in court on Monday with Lori's trial. I want to thank you guys for being here. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. I also want to share my grannyism for today. People have a habit of inventing fictions they will believe wholeheartedly in order to ignore the truth they cannot accept. This is an actual quote by an unknown person. Guys, it fits Lori so well, doesn't it? People have a habit of inventing fictions they will believe wholeheartedly in order to ignore the truth they cannot accept. Yeah. All right. So that's all I have for today, guys. Thank you so much. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at grannyscrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.